how do you pronounce your name correctly?
Sofía Gómez Uribe,
And you are a
freediver.
professional freediver.
Professional freediver.
Professional. Let's okay. So let's start in the shallow end, in the kiddie pool. Where were you born, and who are your parents?
I was born in a city called Pereira, which is really far away from the ocean. And my parents are Francisco Gómez and Mónica Uribe.
What do they do?
My dad, right now, he works with like farming, avocados mostly, and plantains. And my mom, she is, I don't know how you say this in English, but she does architectural drawings, or that's what she studied.
Oh.
Architectural drawer, I think. But she's a housewife.
Okay. How old were you when you learned to swim? And did you instantly like it?
I learned to swim when I was 4 years old because my mom is from the coast.
All right.
Like we live in Pereira and we grew up there, but my mom is from the coast and my grandma lived there like for, I don't know, 40 years or more, for 60 years, yeah. And so during holidays, we would go and visit my grandma. And my mom was a little bit scared that we would go into the ocean and drown. So we learned how to swim. And I think I liked it. I vaguely remember learning how to swim, but I liked it.
So it was never like official swim class, like it was a parent or a grandparent that taught you how to?
No, we had official swimming classes.
Oh, okay.
We would go on Saturdays and to swimming classes. And then with what we learned, we would go on holidays and spend time with my grandma. But I remember I was really scared of the ocean. Like my grandma used to be really active, like always. And every morning she would go with her friends to the beach, walk, and then go to a buoy that was, I don't know, maybe 100 meters from offshore. And I remember going with her, but like clinging to her, like, don't let go, grandma, I'm scared. And like when grass touched me or algae or kelp or whatever, I was like, it's a monster, it's gonna eat me, whatever.
Do you remember the first time you went under and your first dive in a way?
Not really. I do remember because I have an uncle that he likes kayaking and all of that. And I do remember really well going out with him on a kayak and there was like a sponge under the water. And he was like, check this out. And he went under the water and the sponge was huge. And we could see him from the surface, like under the water like this, and like next to a sponge. It was really cool. I remember that. But I don't really remember the first time I went underwater.
So then how did you come across freediving?
I was a fin swimmer. I started fin swimming really like I was 10 years old. And so I could think water was second, like it was really part of my everyday life. And the deepest I had been was like 5 meters because of the diving pool. But I kind of knew how to equalize. So I started freediving in the pool and I really liked it from the beginning. So we have one test in fin swimming that is 50 meters as fast as you can. And I do remember the first time I did 50 meters in the pool. I must have been like 12 or 13. And I was really scared because this was like the hardest thing about fin swimming, like going one length under the water. But I do remember like it was one time after training and I was with some friends and we were like, okay, let's try to do this. And we tried like 3 or 4 times. And on the 4th one, I did it. And I was like, I can't believe I did 50 meters. But every time because I wasn't a sprinter, and 50 meters apnea is like sprint. So every time I had to do it in a competition, I was like, oh, I hate this, I can't do this. And then the first time I did freediving in the pool, I did 100 meters with plastic fins. And I was like, what? This is really cool.
So is fin swimming like a big sport in Colombia? Like how does that happen? Because I hadn't heard of fin swimming until I found freediving.
It is, actually. It's really popular. It used to be more popular. But fin swimming is a sport that is in something called Juegos Nacionales. Y Juegos Nacionales is like the Olympics for Colombia, you know. Every 4 years, we have this big competition, and some sports go to this competition, and fin swimming is one of them. So it is really, it has support from the government and everything. And when I started fin swimming, it was quite popular where I grew up in Pereira. It was a good team too.
Are there a lot of Colombian fin swimmers who are now freediving?
If you consider speed freediving, then yes. If not, like, I think it's impressive what they can do, like how fast they can swim, but I don't consider it
But they don't cross over into depth, and they don't cross
into
over
depth or into dynamic or into static. No.
That's strange, isn't it? So what was your first depth freediving like? Do you remember?
Yes. I went to Santa Marta, which is where my mom is from.
Oh.
And I'm really competitive. And I was with a couple of friends. And I remember they set the line to like 20 or 25 meters, which was deep, and I shouldn't have done it. I think I did like maybe 15 the first time, and then, but by the end of that session, I did like 20 or 25 meters. And I had a mask squeeze, now that I remember. I went back home and I was like, why am I all, like, what is all of these tiny red dots under my eyes? It was a mask squeeze. It wasn't really bad, but it was there.
So not like the massive bulging red eye.
No.
So you just kind of forgot. So that was not an official course or anything. It's just a bunch of kids dropping a line.
Yeah, a bunch of friends. Because the friend that like invited me to Santa Marta was like, because I've already done a couple of records in the pool. So I knew I could hold my breath. I think by then I had done like 175 with the monofin and almost 100 without fins. Because I actually did 90. The first time I did a competition, I did 150 with the monofin. Big samba at the end of it, but 150. And 91 without fins. My first freediving competition.
Wow.
And if you look back, like I didn't use any weights. I had no idea how to kick a glide. My technique in no fins was terrible. So I don't know how I did it, actually.
So when did you first start getting like an education in freediving? Who taught you?
I started, I think, 2014 in the pool with Danny Arias. He trained me for like 6 months for the Pan American competition, pool Pan American competition. That's how I started learning like proper training for freediving, proper techniques. Actually, my first instructor was Walid, like depth instructor was Walid.
And did they teach you like how to equalize your mask, for example? Or?
Yeah. After that first time, I was like, maybe I should just blow a little bit of air into my mask.
Possibly. Did you instantly like the depth aspect of it, or?
Yes, I instantly liked it. Like I didn't feel, because I knew I could hold my breath. So I wasn't scared. Because I think most of the people are a little bit scared because they're like, oh, I'm really deep, and what if I run out of air? But I had already done well in the pool, so I knew I could hold my breath. And I'm super competitive, so I just wanted to go as deep as the guys were going. So I was like, whatever. And I could equalize. Like I was never forcing my ears or stretching anything. Like.
Do you remember how you equalized?
I've always done frontal.
Just naturally, and you could just find the air.
Yes.
I
have no idea how.
What kind of depths are we talking about here?
I think when I did that first time, I went to 20-25. And then a couple of months later, we did another, like a little competition. And I went to 40 meters without knowing. And then I went to Roatan that same year. And I think in that competition, I went to like 50. And then the next year, I started struggling because I didn't know how to equalize.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know how to do a mouth feel or anything like that. So I was struggling around 50, 55, like I was running out of air and I had no idea how to equalize. But yeah, after that, then I had like I had Johnny, who like he taught me a lot, and he taught me how to equalize, and I went down to like 70 meters. In 2015, I went from 54 in 2014 to, I think I did 71 in vertical blue. I think that was the year I met you.
Right.
Yes.
And that's when you started improving drastically, just because.
Because
like,
yes,
yeah.
exactly.
No. So you start out a pool monster. You take that pool monsterness to depth. Where are you now in your freediving?
Right now,
Right now, you're 110?
110 in training, yeah.
110 in training. 106 officially.
106 officially.
Where do you see yourself in, say, a year?
I want to go to 115 for now. But I really want to improve my no fins. But you know what's the difference between before and now? It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
You know, and I took some time off. And I think I needed that time off because I wasn't enjoying my freediving. And I was seeing it as like I had to do it. And if I didn't do it, then I would let down a lot of people. But I realized being in the organization, part of competitions and like the rest of things, I realized I was giving more importance to my dives than, like, they were not as important as I thought they were. Not only for other people, but for myself. Like, I was just too stressed and I wasn't enjoying it. But now I really enjoy them. Like, I feel like I want to go deeper.
That's interesting, isn't it? Like, the pressure you experience is not so much from the depth, but it's from other external factors.
Fear of failure. That's the worst enemy. And I think we all have a little bit of that. And before, I was always thinking, when is this going to go wrong? I'm equalizing, but when am I going to stop equalizing? And then I would lose my air and I couldn't equalize anymore. And I was freaking out underwater. And then, you know, I don't want to turn, but I can't equalize anymore. Then, you know, forcing it or doing stupid things underwater, forcing it.
Do you think, like, adding that kind of pressure onto yourself, did you also feel more tense underwater?
Yes, 100%. I couldn't relax at all. Like, I was stressed before the dive. I was stressed breathing up. I was stressed underwater. The only moment that I felt a little bit relieved was when I turned, you know? Because it was like stress. When am I going to fail? I'm not going to make it. Maybe I made it. Okay, I made it. Because for me, if I got to the bottom, I made it, you know?
Yeah.
Because the hardest part is equalizing. Of course, holding your breath also, but that's like, you have to do it. So for me, it was like tension all the way. And I would have contractions from 5 meters. But like these contractions that are not CO2 or anything, it's just lack of relaxation. Purely.
How? And you still did like 90 something meters?
Yeah, 96.
In that state?
But I know that dive, if you asked me this before, maybe July last year, that was my best dive, like in terms of feelings, in terms of everything, because that was at the World Championships and I knew I was not going to get a medal for that dive.
Right.
So I had no pressure.
Right.
I was like, I'm just doing this because I want to try. I enjoyed it so much because I wasn't nervous before. I think I was like number 5. I got that year because somebody blacked out. I got I was 4th, but I didn't really care. You know, I was just enjoying the dive.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. And you can actually see it in Dive Eye. And you can see me Like when I hear my last alarm, I'm like, you can see my head going like this because everything was going so well that I was like, I can't believe I'm feeling this way.
Is that what changed? Is that like what changed your attitude about depth diving? That one dive, or was it a more involved process?
No, it was a more like a longer process. I think like the pandemic and being out of the water for a long time, like I couldn't leave Bogota for like 8 months, and then everyone was training and I couldn't train, and then like my life decisions in this, like from 2020 to 2024, made me go away a little bit from like depth competitions. But even when I came back to vertical blue in 2023,
Two.
2022,
Yeah, you missed 23.
2022, I really enjoyed it, but I was still really nervous. Like I turned early in 2 no fins dives because I really felt like I couldn't do it, even though I've done it already in training a couple of times and I've been deeper. But it was that fear of kind of I'm going to die, which was dumb because I knew I could do it. But it was also the pressure of going back to competition and my sponsors and what are they going to think if I don't do well. But then I got 3rd place overall. And I liked it and I enjoyed it a lot, you know. But still, in that moment, I still felt a lot of pressure. And I still felt like if I didn't make my dives, I was going to disappoint people and I wasn't good enough. And although I did turn early on a 96-meter dive at 95.
Yeah. And you laughed your ass off after that. That's when I thought, oh, she's got it. She's like the mentality, she's there. But you still had the nerves though.
Yes.
So how did you deal with that?
I think I started putting into perspective why I did freediving. Or like I started thinking about why I did it. And I actually had a mental coach that was really good because like I remember the first session we did, he was like, why are you here? And I said, I hate freediving. And he was like, okay, stop. If you hate it, why are you doing this? We shouldn't even be doing this. Yeah. And I was like, no, wait. I love freediving. I hate competition. Like I really hated it. I couldn't think of going to a competition without feeling this hole in my stomach, even just thinking about it. And then he asked me, what is your biggest intention when you freedive? And I thought about it and I said, I like the peace and like happiness that the water gives me. And so he said, every time you go freediving, think about your biggest intention, like your highest intention. And I started going into the ocean with that highest intention, like always look for peace and happiness, which is hard when you're competing because you want results, right? And sometimes results are not peaceful or happy. You know, like
especially in the pool.
In the pool or
depth
at
as well.
depth. You want to go a little bit deeper, but it's like, oh, can I do it?
Yeah, have peaceful contractions.
Exactly. Yeah. But that really helped me change the way I thought about competition and freediving. Yeah. And also because I've been an athlete, like a competitive fin swimmer or freediver for more than 20 years. It's tiring. And you're like, do I really want to compete?
When you say compete, it sounds, because part of it is like you don't want to disappoint other people, but do you get disappointed in yourself as well? Or was that always less of a factor? Or was it more?
It was huge before. Yeah. Now I understand that 100% can mean different things in different days. But if I know for sure that I gave my 100%, that I did not give up beforehand, and that was my best that day, I'm happy. And I know if I train hard, and if I have because that was also a thing, like I was putting so much energy into freediving, and I was so focused on my results that anything that didn't go my way, I thought I was wasting my time, my energy, my money, everything. And now I just want to find that balance where I'm like, I train enough. Maybe there's other girls that train more than me, but do I want that? Do I want to give my 100% of my energy to this? Sometimes, but like for some periods of time, I don't really want to go back to just training freediving because that was too hard on my body and my emotions and my
It's also
finance.
you're fine. There's also like at a certain point you don't get the benefits of it anymore
No.
because you don't get the joy.
Exactly.
So is that how you experience depth as joy, or how do you experience depth?
Depth, right now, I think this answer could change. We could do an experiment and you could ask me this in a year and then in 5 and then in 10. But right now, depth is joy, 100%. I don't, I'm like connected with the ocean. I don't know if this is too...
No.
But when I'm going deep, I just open my eyes. I keep my eyes open and I just look into the ocean. And I'm like connected with the moment.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's like peace.
Do you feel more of a connection the deeper you go?
I think, yeah, because it's like you have more time down there. You're just free falling and you just have your eyes open. And I feel content. I feel like everything is okay. But because I've learned how to live the moment. Like I'm not anticipating and I'm not thinking about what I did 10 meters before or what's going to happen when I go to the bottom. Sometimes you do get like, oh my God, I'm too deep and I still have 100 meters to go. But then it goes like, okay, no, like let's enjoy the feelings right now. And I think I'm more connected to my feelings in general. Like I am actually thinking about how I feel. Before it was just like a structure, kick this many times, take your mouth feel, try to relax, count, turn, start counting your kicks, okay, safeties, whatever. Don't think about how you feel, anything. But now it's more of the, how am I feeling? Okay, this is how I feel when I'm a little bit hypoxic, or oh yeah, this contraction is real, or am I inventing it? Because sometimes you invent contractions. You're like, why am I not getting a contraction? And then you go,
Yeah, there it is.
yeah. So I'm like more connected to my emotions and my feelings and my body in general.
Is that also what attracts you to depth? That connection?
Right now, yes. And also I decided to do right now what gives me more joy. And the monofin is the thing that gives me more joy because I can relax more, Next year, maybe I want to go deeper in no fins, but I know I'm not going to find the same joy because it's harder. But it's like a different challenge. But yeah, I do feel like it is addictive. And I think that's why we always want to go a little bit deeper. Don't you feel?
Yeah, of course. But I still, because for me, I've never been very deep, but there was always like there's beyond a certain depth, I know that I'm going to have nice feelings. Like I know that like everything that kind of just comes together, like that trust in yourself, like I can make it back up, and the technique of equalizing, but also like the blood shift gets really intense, and like and you know that afterwards, like it doesn't matter how deep you went, it's beyond a certain depth that you kind of know, like, okay, the rest of my day is going to be rather blissful.
Yeah.
And that moment in and of itself is rather blissful as well.
Yeah. But we were talking in Dominica about how high it gets you freediving, but then how low also it gets you. Like, because I think it's just this peak of serotonin and like happiness and everything. It's like a drug, like you're like overwhelmed by all of these emotions, and then you're like, yeah, you go down, or at least that happens to me. And I started feeling like really sad the day after deep dives, and I was like, why am I feeling like this? Like again, this feeling of it not being enough. But I talked to other friends that do extreme sports,
Mm.
and they were like, it's normal. You've had a rush of serotonin and dopamine, and it's like a drug, it's too much of it. And then your body's like, it's empty from that dopamine. So you need to help it a little bit. And I was like, okay, I'm not crazy and I'm happy, but it's fine. It comes and goes. It's like waves.
So how do you help your body?
Well, I started taking B complex, B complex, 5-HTP, melatonin for sleeping, and vitamin C, and that really helped. It's magic,
It's chemistry.
It's chemistry, yeah.
Like I always feel like what we're doing, as wonderful as it is, like you're putting your body into a very drastic situation.
Yeah.
And it's a survival thing, and your body kind of goes like, get all hands on deck, for this couple of minutes. And then afterwards, yeah, you have a bit of a crash. Like
Yeah, you have
everything needs to be replenished. But also, like you swam up 110 meters and swam down 110 meters. Do you ever feel like you're going into reserves?
Not for now. I still feel like on these dives, I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel my legs. I actually felt really good. And I think I felt really good because I've been training in the pool a lot. And the feelings that you get when you're swimming in the pool underwater are horrible. And your legs hurt and you're constantly moving and you're holding your breath for a really long time. But at depth, it's like you kick to 35. And then you fall from there to 110. So you're not moving. You're not using that much energy. And then it's only 110 meters. If you think about it, it's not that much.
Editor's note, to some people that is quite a lot. That's interesting. That pool background again is helping you. How would you categorize the difference between a long pool dive, a max pool dive, and a deep dive?
People sometimes ask me, like, what is harder? What do you think is harder? And I think for me, pool is harder because you can quit at any time. When you're doing depth, you kind of don't have a choice. Like, if you're at 90, you still have 90 meters to go up. Like, you have to hold your breath. So when it gets uncomfortable, you have to deal with that. But in the pool, you can really easily give up. If it starts feeling really uncomfortable, you just give up. So like being strong enough not to give up, I think that makes it much harder. But that's also what gives you an advantage when you go to depth, because you know how to deal with being uncomfortable underwater while you hold your breath.
But you're saying like your 110 was not uncomfortable.
Not at all. It was really nice. I was like, woohoo!
So from a scientific point of view, like you must have had hypercapnia, you must have had some hypoxia, you must, like all of that. Do you think there's a mechanism that is a painkiller?
I think there could also be a little bit of narcosis, Maybe I wasn't feeling everything, maybe. But at the same time, I think that being really connected to the present helps a lot. I don't know if this maybe sound a little bit hippie, but I do feel like when you're not anticipating when you're super, you're focused, right? And then you're like doing everything you have to do perfectly, or at least the best way possible. And then you're just enjoying it. I think that joy is the painkiller.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know if this is scientific or not, but...
No, it makes sense. But like, because if you just do simple maths, like a 110 depth is a 220.
But
yeah, like.
But like you're not moving for 70 meters on the way down.
True.
So
but you're moving a bit harder on the way up.
Yeah, you're moving everywhere. Yeah, you're constantly moving on the way up.
Yeah. Yeah, but also like you're working against gravity,
See.
whereas in a pool you're like neutral. So
Yeah. I think it's a mental aspect of that, because I think like this, like you're not moving for more than a minute going down, so you're just
yeah, you've just had your rest.
yeah, exactly. It's time to work.
Yeah, you've had a nice nap. Do you? What's that minute like? Like that minute of free fall? Can you describe?
Too short. But here's another thing. I hated free falling. Hated it. It was the worst part of my dive, because I didn't have to think about anything else than equalizing and relaxing, and I couldn't relax because I was constantly thinking, when is this going to go wrong? When am I going to mess up? When am I going to turn? When am I going to lose my mouthfeel? That was the only thing that I could think of when I was free falling.
Culture.
And everyone was like, no, but free falling is so nice. And I'm like, no, I'd rather be moving so I don't have to think about relaxing.
And now?
And now I love it. I'm like, okay, let's just start falling. And I open my eyes and I look into the ocean and I just...
Do you ever like get narcosis or see things or have thoughts that are alien, like where you kind of go like, oh, I normally don't think this way? Or
I start seeing like, kind of, if I was in a video game, like an 8-bit video game, I see a lot of colors. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. But I've had a couple of times where I've had really like panicky narcosis. That's not nice. Remember that time that I did like 90 meters free immersion and I had a little blackout on the surface? 2016? That was horrible. I thought I was going to drown at 90.
God, that's horrible.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not going to make it back up to my safeties. And I started pulling really hard and I was like, I'm going to die. I really thought I was not going to make it.
Yeah.
And then I saw Alejo and I was like, okay, they're here. And then I don't remember much.
How do you get over an incident like that?
I think because I haven't made peace with free immersion that much. It's still my least favorite discipline. Because I think I still think a little bit about that time, although it's been too many years. But I think you just have to do it again and again and again and again until you kind of get over that fear.
Can you ever truly get over a fear, or do you kind of incorporate it into...
I think you incorporate it. And that's other thing that has changed for me, because before I was like, I used to hate when people ask me, aren't you afraid of dying, or aren't you afraid of going deep? And I was like, why are you asking me that? Of course I'm not. Like if I was afraid, I wouldn't be doing this. But of course, there's a little bit of fear in what we do. We're going really deep. It's dark. We're alone, you know. We should be a little bit afraid. We should, because I think that's how we know we're alive and we actually care about what we're doing. I think people that are not scared are reckless and they do stupid things. And so now I'm like, yes, of course, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. It's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to feel a little bit of fear, but I incorporate it into my dives instead of trying to push it away and be like, oh, I'm not nervous or I'm not scared. Yeah. That's changed a lot.
It's one of the flavors in the dish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I feel a little bit nervous. Okay, yes, of course I'm nervous. I'm doing something that I've never done before. Whatever. It helps a lot.
Is that the main factor of what makes a deep dive pleasant? Is because you say like the 110 is easy, but the 90 free immersion was traumatic. Is the main factor the weirdness of the narcosis?
I think because this has been a really long journey for me, I haven't given free immersion a chance again, like to enjoy it. because I think it's the hardest discipline, although a lot of people think it's the easiest. But I'm like, oh my God, no, you're so far down and then you just have your arms to pull you up. And I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a mental thing.
Do you think your mentality influences your narcosis?
No, but I do feel like my mentality influences, of course, how I feel in general in the dive. Like if I, because like I do start to get a little bit nervous after, say, 85, a free immersion. And I'm like, can I do this? You know, it's not the same than doing 100 meters with the monofin. It's because I start thinking of the time underwater and how fast I can come up with a monofin and how slow I am without like a monofin or just my arms. And so I start thinking too much. I think too much for free immersion. But yeah, I think you're like the way you think about the dives is what's going to make them easy or hard. But I think also what has changed a lot for me, my relationship with freediving, is knowing that it's okay to turn. Because before I was like, you cannot turn, you're going to disappoint everyone, you have to make it, you have to equalize. What do you mean you can't equalize? I felt so scared of, like failure. And now it's like, it's fine, it's okay if I turn. Nobody cares. I don't care. Life goes on, you can try again. I thought it was like, I had to do it.
Is that something you apply in daily life as well?
Yes. I try to always give my best, but I also know that we're all learning, and it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to learn, and it's okay to, but you have to learn from your mistakes. So like if you turn early, you have to think about what happened during that dive. Same with daily life. If you messed up something, like what did I do wrong and how can I fix it?
Do you feel like you go deep in daily life in other things as well? Like do you approach, how do you say this? Are there other aspects of your life where you, where you go deep, where you want to get to the bottom of it, almost literally?
Yes, I do feel like I try to go deep more so now. Like before, again, I think I had this mentality of an athlete where I was just following steps.
Yeah.
With my life in general, like follow this step, do this, do this, do that. It's technical, get it done. But now I feel like I am in a personal journey of understanding everything, which is a little bit tiring sometimes because, oh my God, it's like, it's hard, you know? But I do feel like I'm trying to go deep into like how I feel and what I want to do and how I want to have like relationship with people and my family and in general, what do I want to do for the world and for my community and all of that. Because I don't want to go through life just existing, you know. I want to make an impact in a way. But I think sometimes it's hard because sometimes I feel like it's not enough. So yeah.
That seems to be a theme.
Yes.
Would you consider yourself an extreme person?
Not really. I don't think I am an extreme person. I'm really cautious with everything. And I tend to overthink. And I'm trying to change that a little bit. So no, I don't consider myself an extreme person.
Do you think other people consider you an extreme person?
Yeah, I do think so. Because I go deep underwater. I love swimming with sharks, like stuff like that. Or like with any animal, like, no, I don't know, sperm whales or seals or whatever. But if you put me in a field with a cow, I'm going to freak out, you know, or with a dog, you know. I'm scared of those things. But you put me in the water and there's a giant seal. I'm gonna be like, oh, please come here, be my friend.
Are there people that you would consider extreme?
Like in my life?
In your life or in general, like that you know of?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are extremely extreme, that jump off planes and, I don't know, ride bikes really fast. That for me is extreme.
Do you think they consider themselves extreme?
Probably not. I think when we do extreme things, we just normalize that. We tend to normalize what we do, like holding our breaths and going deep. Like even going to 20 meters.
Are the freedivers you'd consider extreme?
John Fane, I consider him really extreme.
Why is that?
Well, like he had his accident and he still wants to go deep. And it's like, are you sure you want to do that? But he's like super cautious about it. He's really responsible. But yeah, I think he's extreme in a good way.
That one, I always find that interesting. I don't consider myself extreme either. But then you ask my mom and she's like, my son's crazy. Or you ask my sister.
Yeah.
And then my peers kind of go like, no, it's completely normal what we do. But then I look at somebody like Alexa and go like, fucking, what the hell?
Okay, so I don't, okay, yeah, I feel, for example, that Alenka and Alesia had opened the road or the way for other women to think it's possible to go deep. And I think that's really extreme, but also like super valuable. Because before we would think, no, pues women maybe to 110 or pues that is really extreme. And now they are the pioneers to what we can actually achieve. And that's really amazing. Like if you think about what they've done, they have shown us that we can actually go deep and it's doable. It's really
sometimes
amazing.
feel like humans are a little bit extreme.
Yes.
You know, we, like as a group, we need a few of us to explore things and go there. And then the rest of the group slowly moves towards that as well. And it becomes,
Yeah.
But you never look at, like, I've never met anybody who thought of themselves as extreme because they've seen their own journey, they've experienced their own journey, and so.
And they know what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
But I think we shouldn't. This is something that I also promised myself that I still want to be surprised and acknowledge that what I do is, or what we do is really amazing. So every day that I am diving or that I am swimming in the ocean, I am thankful for what I do. And I'm like, this is really amazing and I'm grateful. And I'm also cautious and I want to be safe and I want everyone else to be safe around, because sometimes we do normalize things and it's like, oh, I'm just going to do a 50-meter dive. Just surface safety is okay. And it's like, no, it's not. I will go down and meet you, like you could be extreme, but safe.
Yeah. So in your mind, 50 is then not, like, it is deep, but it isn't deep?
It isn't deep, which is crazy.
So what would you consider deep?
80?
So you're deep?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do consider, like...
You consider yourself a deep person? Not an extreme person?
No.
But a deep person?
But a deep person.
Right. Do you... When I say a deep person, who comes to mind for you? When you think of like a deep freediver, who's your...
Many. I consider Alenka, Alesia, Hanako, Kate, like 84 meters, no fins. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Alexi, Matt, like there are many really, I'm probably forgetting 1,000 people, but this is the people that I think of the most.
And non-freedivers, when you think of a deep person?
Do you know what? I think this is so like different because we're literally talking about depth. So of course I'm thinking of numbers and people that were deep. But when I think of deep people outside of freediving, I think of people that are connected with emotions, that are good writers or that can express, I don't know, painters or poets or people that are really good with expressing what they feel into something that we can then appreciate. That's what I feel. That's what I think of when I think of a deep person. And I don't consider myself deep outside of the water, but not because I don't want. It's because I think I've shut that part of my brain for my whole life because I've been more into numbers and sports, and my creative side or like my emotional and spiritual side is not.
So when you think about, is there like a piece of art, music, literature that you connect with being deep, but also like that connects you to freediving? So like like a song that really reminds you of freediving, or a painting?
I do think like I do connect feelings with music a lot. I really like music and I enjoy it. So when I feel connected to what I'm doing, I also remember, like I use music to feel deeper, But it can be like super, like one day can be classical music and the next day can be pop and the next day can be whatever. It doesn't have to be like a music genre.
Right.
But it makes me feel happy,
But we've discussed fear at depth. What was your fondest experience at depth or with freediving, or top 5?
The first day I did 100 meters.
Yeah.
I remember it so well. Like, I remember every part of that dive. Like, really. Like, I close my eyes and I see myself going at 100 meters. Like, I remember going like, I don't want my watch to say 99 point something. So I was like, okay. I remember going to the platform and setting myself, I set the line myself, because I did like 95, and then Gigi told me like, are you gonna try to do 100? And I'm like, no, I've never tried 100, and I think I should try 98. And then I went home and I was like, 98 is just 2 meters. What is 2 meters? Nothing, like, why don't you just try 100? And then I got to 100 and I was like, so this is how it feels to be at 100 meters. And I felt so happy. Like, I really wanted the dive to end because I wanted to scream that I had done 100 meters. That is my happiest memory.
Yeah?
Yes. And then, like, but actually my best memory in the ocean has nothing to do with going deep. I remember once going out to the platform in Dominica and I saw a baby turtle, but like it was maybe half an hour old or something like that. And I remember like looking at it and the baby just came to me and it just like stood on my arm and then on my shoulder, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cute, and I have to go. And I had no GoPro or anything. And I was a little bit far behind, so there was nobody around. And I was like, oh, it was really nice. And then I had to go. And then I thought about the chances of that little turtle growing into an adult. And I was really sad. I hope you survive, my friend. But that was really nice.
That seems to be a theme. Like the connection with the ocean and with the community, which works both ways. Like you're afraid to disappoint them, but at the same time also it seems to really feed you.
Yes.
I sometimes have this feeling when I'm down there and you hold the line, it's almost like an umbilical cord. Like it's Because it's not just a connection to the surface, it's also a connection to all the people out there who are watching over you and who are helping you and who probably want you to do well. Is that part of your connection down there, or is it more like I'm dissolving into the sea and I'm one with the sea and I'm one with everything?
I feel like I am one with the sea and everything, but also I feel really safe. And I know that it's because that line is there.
Yeah.
And like, I always feel safe with my safeties, you know, I trust them a lot. And sometimes I think other people don't realize how important safeties are. They take them for granted. But they are the most important part of a dive. And so yeah, like I never feel unsafe. I really feel really, really, really safe, because if anything happens, I know that the system is there to help me if I'm in trouble. So I can just let go and really just enjoy the dive and dissolve into the water.
There's only a third conversation that I've had, and everyone, there's like a theme that pops up, and in yours it seems to be a deepening connection to pretty much everything, to the sea, to your friends, but also to yourself. I'm trying to locate what it is about depth that almost catalyzes that connection. Like we seem to bond with each other much quicker because we trust each other with pretty much
Our
our
lives.
Yeah. I mean, it's a dramatic way of putting it,
But it
it's
is true.
kinda true.
Yeah.
Do you think that depth in and of itself reinforces connections?
I think depth makes us trust other people more, you know. But it also makes us trust ourselves, because I don't think you could go deep if you didn't trust, or at least not with the joy that you do it with when you trust yourself. So when you trust yourself, you can actually trust other people. Like it's like when you love yourself, then you can let other people love you. No?
Yeah, definitely. But it's not just trust, isn't it? It's kind of like almost an innate knowledge. Like because you've done massive dives in the pool, you know that like if you're at 80 or 90 or the swim back, that's fine. Because getting down there is maybe not. But to swim up, you'll be fine. And that kind of like connection with yourself, like a kind of an inherent knowledge of it'll be okay.
It will be okay, but also it comes with time. And I think that connection and that trust the connection you have with yourself, it comes with time. And I think what I've seen in like new freedivers is that they are forcing depths that they're not really ready to do. And they're thinking about like if they're only at 70 meters, they're thinking, no, but when I do 100, and it's like, do 70, then 71, then 72, and so on, and then get to 100 when you are ready to do 100. But you cannot be thinking about 100 when you're just doing 70 or trying to do 70. I think people forget to enjoy the process. Like they're just focused on the end of the way instead of the road, you know. So, but I think they have to live it to actually understand it. And I think we all go through that. Like
it's like wisdom, isn't it?
See,
there's knowledge and then there's wisdom.
Exactly. And you can hit a wall every time because you're thinking, I deserve to do 80 and I'm only at 60. And it's like, enjoy your 60, you know? And then go to 65 and then to 70 and then to 75 and then to 80. When you're at 80, think about other things, you know, or think about going to 90, but you can't be I mean, you can have an objective, but you can't forget that it takes time and patience, and that nothing changes if you're a 70-meter diver or you're a 100-meter diver. Like, life goes on, and it's absolutely the same, unless you go around telling people, I can do, you know, have a sign here for everyone to see. I am a 100-meter diver. Who
Ask me
cares?
anything.
Exactly.